Hey, welcome.
Hey guys, we are on. Oh,
Okay.
good. Okay, good. Hi, welcome. It's Don't Worry Wednesday.
That's right.
We made it, and you made it, and Jesse made it a success.
That's right.
All
I
right.
told him to never let us be late again. As soon as that says, Jesse, as soon as that says, starting soon, I don't want to see that for more than 2 milliseconds. Like it's got to be going live.
2
Yeah, because these people
milliseconds.
that long.
Yep.
Like you can't wait 3 milliseconds. That's ridiculous.
I know 3 is way too long.
People click away as soon as 3 milliseconds happens. You're lucky if their mouse isn't already on the X button before it hits like 4 seconds left.
Yes.
I don't care if we're not ready. No.
Man, if you guys could just hear our discussion before we go on. One of these days you will, because Jesse's only going to wait 2 milliseconds, and then he's not going to tell us.
Mm-hmm. I hope that time is when it's like during a gaming stream and it's him who's not ready.
Oh,
Pushes it. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be right back." And I'll be like, "Yeah, me too." And it's gonna be a live screen of just our backgrounds.
You're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome guys to Don't Worry Wednesday. It's the show where we handle any issues you might be having. You can feel free to post them in the chat. You can feel free to post them on our website right here. Boom. Or you can send us an email, dww@bss.studio. That's dww@bss.studio. You can also find Ryan or myself or Princess on Discord. Send us a private message if you would like to remain anonymous. Princess is there putting all the information down for you. Jesse is our amazing producer. You guys that have been here, you know who Jesse is. And if you don't know who Jesse is, you need to go to Twitch on the weekends and hang out with him and Ryan while they do some gaming on Twitch. Princess is our chat room hostess, keeping us on track and making sure that everything gets put in the right place for us. She's amazing. I'm Joe, and above me in his rightful place on the top bunk is Ryan.
I always did like the top bunk as a kid.
You are good at the top bunk. You know, I fell off the top bunk once. It hurt.
Me too.
Yeah.
How did it happen?
I don't remember. I woke up in mid-fall.
Ooh. Nice.
Smack, and I'm like, ah.
Yeah. I don't remember how I don't know if I was awake or not, but I do remember falling out of the top bunk into a toy. Wait, what do you call it? Hold on. Dump truck. Like
into
I fell,
a toy dump truck,
butt down, landing on the toy dump truck, and fit into it. It was like a decent size, like with a back like that, and I just went, and I was sitting in the dump truck, and I was like, "Ow!"
Did it roll somewhere after you landed in it?
Moved probably like 1 inch or 2 inches.
I
remember my back was hit the corner of it, so it wasn't like a perfect landing. It hurt, but yeah.
I was gonna say, like, to be like on a YouTube video or something, you'd have to fall off the top bunk into a toy dump truck and then have it roll down the stairs out into the yard.
That's true.
And into a pond or something. And then
Yes. No, almost up into a pond, like really close to the pond, and then your like slipper falls off into the pond, and you're like, no!
Yes, that would be awesome. But at any rate, welcome you guys again. And I had to give the disclaimer. The legal department will be very upset if I don't. And that is, we are not professional therapists or counselors. We're not a substitute for any of that. And in fact, there's no shame in pursuing that route. If you're having some trouble figuring things out, I've used professional therapy before, and it's helped me out a lot. So we just want to, in this show, be your friend and encourage you, offer maybe some perspective, maybe a little bit of encouragement and love along the way while you figure it out. We know you guys are smart enough to figure a lot of this out on your own, but sometimes a fresh set of eyeballs goes a long way. And we're just happy to see you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wow. So we already have a volunteer, Cody. Apparently Princess is going to be gone for a few episodes coming up here shortly. So yeah, it looks like Cody's going to be the chat room host while she's gone. That'll be great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cody.
Yeah. As long as my attention isn't being drawn away. Yes. Okay, that's fine. We're glad to have you. We're glad to have all you guys. So yeah, we've got quite a list here of topics lined up. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, so we've got Angel Dead, Akil, a long one. Nox, Amira, Deku, Aaron, Nathan, another Amira, Bakugo, lover, Science Rocks, Cherry, Sun Ryosuke, and Bree. And I know I've seen a few of you guys here.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Bree, I've seen here. Akil is here, but he's on 3 streams right now. Bree, Akil, and Cherry are all here. Yes. Cherry, yes, because I saw the bright red amazingness.
Yeah. I like that.
Yep. So let's see.
Yeah.
All right. So Akil, yours is kind of old. It's from like March.
Akil is currently watching 3 streams at the same time, which is pretty much impossible. So I think he said that because he was like, just kind of go over me.
Oh, yes. Okay. That's cool.
Because there's no way I can't pay attention to 3 streams at once.
Yeah, me neither. I can, but I miss like 100% of all of them.
I can hardly pay attention to 1 stream at once because I'm preoccupied with other things at the same time.
Are you paying attention to this stream right now?
Who?
Good answer. So, all right. Well, it looks like the first person in line that is present then is going to be Cherry.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. And Cherry, looks like we've got Fate and Malice 2 from Cherry. All right. And for those of you who have not been here before, there's a whole bunch of these Fate and Malice ones. You can go to that studio and read through some of them. It'll give you a really good background story. Cherry is very articulate in writing these and does a very good job of conveying the emotion that she's gone through through all of this. So yeah. Which one did you just post? Okay. I was wondering which one Princess just posted.
Oh,
I'm gonna post it too. Huh.
Those are different. Oh, okay.
It's the one that has the 7 in it.
We love you, Bree. You're awesome. Awesome. Bree says she loves you, Jesse. Oh, cool. Hey, Jesse saw it.
Princess said good job to me. Ah, thank you, Princess.
Great job,
All right.
Scott.
So this is from Cherry. It's called Fate and Malice 2. And it reads like this. Uh, Ever since I've been given another chance from Tor, I've been tons more hopeful. I feel like this will be a happy ending, just like a story. There's the start of the story where I joined the servers and felt like I had a family. There's the conflict where I ended up finding myself in a repetitive loop of losing people. And finally, there will hopefully be the conclusion where I redeem myself and gain back the ones I've lost. If I've already gotten back the people who are the hardest to convince, that's certainly saying something about my odds to overcoming these obstacles. However, there's one person I lost who means something special to me, not as in a love type of special, but a familial type of special. They felt to me like the mother I've never had. They comforted me through and did the world for me. But they lost me, the way the lost me, which I will call the past me, treated them was very harsh. Constantly trying to rush them, only caring about my own interests, and even accusing them of doing nothing for me. I don't agree with the things the lost me did, which is why I'm trying to undo it. I'm the type of person who is determined. I don't quit until I get what I want, which is usually something good, such as painting over the bad memories with good ones, which is what I'm doing with Tor. That being said, I can't rest until I get this person back. Maybe they're reading this or even listening to this. Maybe they're not saying anything in chat because this post was by me or they're just nervous, but I think they know who they are. I've always dreamed of being someone's hero, but before I can be someone else's hero, I need to save myself. If I can't even save myself, then I don't have the responsibility or power to truly save anyone else. In order for this ultimate happy ending I seek to come true, I intend on getting her back. What can I say to assure her I'm new and better when she's blocked me from everywhere and refuses to have anything to do with me? The reason this post is named 2 is because I'm a nerd when it comes to enneagrams.
I don't know what an Enneagram is,
I don't
but
know what that is. And since I know the enneagram types in and out, I know for a fact straight away that the person I'm talking to is an enneagram type 2. Also, this is just a side question of sorts, but how do I bring myself to eat a chocolate bunny that looks cute? I want to eat it, but every time I look at its face, it makes me feel sad, and so I just leave it sitting in my room. I want the chocolate, but I also want the bunny.
aw,
Dilemmas.
yeah, nice.
Yes. Well, thank you, Cherry, for posting. And Cherry posted they aren't here right now, probably, just to note. So yeah, that's totally fine. But Cherry, thank you for posting. And yeah, this goes, excuse me, kind of right along with what your previous post was about, the one we handled last time. And so it's nice that these were kind of back to back, so we can kind of, you know, take some of that and roll with it. So Ryan, what do you have to start us off here?
Um, hey Cherry, how's it going? It's nice to hear from you again. Um, yeah, this is yeah, like Joe said, kind of like something that feeds off the back of the last one that we did. And I think I have an idea. I'm pretty sure I know who this person is that you're referring to. I could be wrong, but the fact that they would be um possibly in this stream listening kind of gives me an idea that it's not part of your other group. Um,
Hmm.
so I have a feeling I know who it is. But regardless, um, you know, it's hard to convince somebody that you're a new person when you cannot contact them at all, right? When they blocked you or when they won't answer your calls, um, yeah, that's hard. That's really hard. And I've been in positions for short periods of times when I've experienced that, and that really stinks. Like something is wrong in a relationship. You've messed something up, or something has been misunderstood, and you're like, oh, I just need to tell the person, but like you can't. There's no way because some reason you cannot connect with them. And then it's just like one of the worst feelings ever. You're just like, man, and then it's running through your brain like all day, maybe like for like 5 days before you can finally reach out to them again. And it just doesn't feel good. Um, so yeah. Anyhow, what do you do in that scenario, or what do you do when maybe it's been a longer time, maybe those intense emotions are no longer there, but you still have that. You want to reach out to them. You want to make things better. Um, and there's also a lot of family relationships that are like this, where the children and the parents or certain siblings kind of detach from each other and they just don't like each other. Um, and eventually, one of them is able to reach out and attempt to make things better. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's an interesting thing in life. We have lots of relationships where things can go a certain way and they can go wrong for a really long time up into like some point where it just all crashes down
Hmm.
and then you can't talk to the person anymore because they don't want to have anything to do with you. So I think this happens a lot to a lot of people. So don't feel like you're alone here. It's kind of common among human beings. Um, and so I guess, one of the main reasons they try to block you is because they don't want to have to deal with you anymore. Or more appropriately, they don't want to have to deal with themselves dealing with you anymore.
Mm.
Um, it can be really hard, um, not to just put up with other people. Sometimes it can be really hard to put up with yourself when around certain people or something like that, Um, and so, from your past, you were a certain way, and now you're kind of embarking on a new journey, changing uh, yourself for the better. And I think that's so awesome, Cherry. That's amazing. Um, but anyways, to get to the question, how do you influence those people? Really, there's no straightforward way to doing that other than trying to reach out to them time and time and time again. Um, there's a particular part in the Bible um, where a woman reaches out to God and she basically nags over and over and over and over until she gets her way, which is like really, um, which is interesting because God is basically saying, "Hey, don't give up on your. It's okay to nag me." Like really, don't give up on your prayer. Don't you know? um, and really, that's kind of all it is in your situation. I mean, you can try to reach out to that person's friends and say, "Hey, can you tell her to unblock me?" I mean, you could do that, right? Um, Obviously, you don't want to get annoying with it, but I think a lot of her friends are going to say, "Well, it's not up to me; it's up to her. I'll run it by her, but that's all I can do." Um, but yeah, I mean, you can try to find ways to get in contact with her, and there comes a point where yeah, it's just not up to you because she can always refuse.
Mhm.
She can always hang up the phone. She can always realize that you're on a new account and block you, right? Which you don't want to do. So sometimes you just have to wait for them. And that's kind of like you're waiting for them to not just forgive you because they might have already forgiven you. More so, you're waiting on them to pull themselves together and feel like they have the strength again.
Mhm.
A lot of times these situations happen because there's a lot of scars that happened in the past, and they don't want to confront those. They don't want to bring those back up, you know. So they're not eager to try to make that contact again, make that relationship work again.
Mhm.
Um, but a lot of times in those situations, what happens is somewhere down the road, things kind of just fall into a place with the conversations start up again, and there's been enough time in between that people can be more forgiving, more easy on themselves, more easy on each other, more capable of taking the conversations to the right places, more grown up on both ends. Um, but I think, right now you're at a position where you just have to play that waiting game, because this this girl is probably loving you from afar, type
Mm,
of deal. If it's who I think it is, she's an amazing gal, and she loves everybody, and she's there for a lot of people.
mm,
Um, but yeah, at some points in time, you kind of just have to distance yourself from somebody and love them from afar. And I think that's what she's chosen to do. And um, you can hope that someday she just changes, or has a change of heart or a change of mind, and feels a little bit more comfortable about the whole situation. Until now, you just kind of playing the waiting game.
mhm,
So what can you do? Ultimately, take it easy. Don't worry about it too much. The time will come. Um, the time will come when it comes. Until then, just keep on building yourself up, being the best you, so that when that day does come, you can you can easily show her the new person that you are, um, and inspire her by being that. I think that's really your best bet here. Um,
mhm.
but anyhow, let's see what Joe has to say.
Uh, um, I'm not sure how to follow that. You
Okay,
covered,
try to cover everything
yeah, yeah,
that was in my head.
yeah. Because Ryan's absolutely right. You can't choose for somebody. They have to come to that conclusion on their own. They have to come back to you on their own time. And sometimes that could be a while. So the thing to I think one of the things you can do is search your heart and search your motives and figure out, am I this new person because I'm a new person genuinely, or am I a new person in order to get this person back in my life? Because sometimes I know I've done this before. I've fallen into this trap where I've
I've done
made
that.
changes to myself just to get a certain person back in my life. And when it didn't happen, I just went back to being this old person again.
I've
Because
done that.
yeah, because I was impatient and I didn't, and it wasn't a genuine change. It was just I just really wanted that person back in my life. And so I made the changes I thought they would want to see, but it wasn't because I was changing myself as a person. It was just I was trying to show a change in order for them to come back. And so the real thing to ask, you may need to dig down and make sure that this change is genuine and it's real and it's really you changing for the better for yourself, just because you want to be a better person. And you will want to do that regardless of whether this person comes back into your life or not. That's really the test, is if you would still be this new and improved you even if this person never came back and talked to you again. So that's kind of how you can gauge this. So, but one thing you can do, and I would encourage you, like Ryan said, don't worry about it. Just continue being that person, continue being who you are, this new, improved person that realized some of the mistakes that you've made in the past. And here you can change. That's one of the most beautiful things about any part of our life. If we don't like something that's going on in our life, we can change. We have that ability. It's not always easy, but we can do it. And it might take a while to get rid of some old habits too. But and sometimes it takes some time to start new habits, which incidentally, that's the way to break an old habit, is to start a new one. Like the a lot of people say, I just need to get rid of this old habit. And it's like, habits are really hard to get rid of, but new habits are much easier to take up. And so if you take up a new habit that contradicts the old habit, sooner or later you'll find yourself, you just automatically get rid of the old habit because you took up the new habit. So anyway, that was a sidebar. So here's what you can do, Cherry. Follow what Ryan said. Don't worry about it. Be that person. And I bet if this person runs in the same circles as these other friends that you have, Tor and some of the other friends that you know, if they kind of intermingle in these different crowds and stuff, just be the best friend you can be to as many of those people as possible, and word's going to get around.
Mm-hmm. Or the other, yeah. No matter what group you're in, word will get around.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Word will get around that you are not the same Cherry, that you have changed, and you're much better to get along with, and all that stuff. And so, what will happen then, once word gets around, you'll start to find out some of these people just kind of pop back into your life here and there, and it'd be really cool to see that. And hopefully it will be this person that you're talking about here. But it's very interesting, the question you had, because you said, what can I say to assure her that I'm new and better when she's blocked me from everywhere and refuses to have anything to do with me? First of all, I don't know how you get somebody to stop blocking you. I don't think there's a sneaky way to do that, and I don't think that would be right. Even if there was a sneaky way to do it, I don't think you'd want to approach it that way.
Right.
And second of all, I don't think there's really a magic bullet thing to say for anybody. I think it's just a heart change. And it just naturally comes through in everything you say, that heart change. Because when you have a change deep down inside, which is what you're telling me you've had, which is great, and I'm super proud of you for that. If that's the case, and it really is the case that you've just changed for the better because of who you want to make improvements to your life, then everything you say is going to reflect that heart change. And there's nothing specific that you can say other than just normally talking and loving others and being who you are. And you will naturally attract other people. One thing to keep in mind, just because this person's not in your life anymore, and if they never come back to your life, that's not the end of the world. Because maybe, see, where did I read this? I can't remember where I heard this. But we get so caught up in a relationship that we have, and we're devastated when certain close relationships leave us, and we have that time of mourning and brokenheartedness and everything. But it's crazy. So like that relationship ends and we're devastated, but then a few months later, a new relationship begins that's better than that old one ever was. And it never would have existed had that old one not ended, had we not been able to let go of that old relationship. We may have never, ever experienced the full beauty of the new relationship. So because that's how relationships can go, maybe you've been torn apart from this one in order to make room in your life for one that's going to blow your mind later. So that's a possibility to keep in mind as well, Cherry. And I've gone on and on, so I'm going to turn it back to Ryan.
I like what you had to say a lot better than what I said. So.
I don't. I like what you said.
Okay. Well, okay. Next time.
You set it up perfectly, so I could just like talk and say stuff.
Okay. So thanks, Jerry. I have two more things to say. The first one is this. Sometimes, and I have a feeling that this is the case, sometimes people put us through things that are difficult. And that difficult thing that they're putting us through is harder for them than it is for you.
Mm.
Sometimes we give people a little bit of tough love because that's what they need. I've seen many times in my life and many times in other people's lives as well, when someone decides, okay, that's it, I'm breaking the ties, we're not talking anymore. Then it's like all of a sudden your mind clicks open. It's like, bam, oh, I've messed this up. Now I got to now I got to start making things right. Right. It's not until everything crumbles apart that we start to go, the help that I needed was there in front of me the whole time. And I wasn't doing anything about it. But now I don't have that. But now I understand that I
Mhm.
need that and I'm going to go chase it. Um, and I think that's awesome. I know that I talked recently with somebody else that was blocked recently by a friend of mine. And talking with them, they also were trying to find contact with another person. And I was like, okay, I know this person and I know why they blocked you. And you know why they blocked you. It was because, you know, what was going on in your guys' relationship wasn't okay. Sometimes when someone does something wrong to you, you've got to do your best to punish them. Even though it hurts, even though that's really hard. When there's someone you really do cherish and they continue to act a certain way, and it's not right. Um, and no matter how many times you say certain words or like it's okay or please don't be mad or try to encourage them, nothing works. And at some point you go, okay, well, I can do nothing else than this. So I'm blocking you. And all of a sudden, changes start happening.
Mhm.
I've seen it a couple of times. So it's possible that what's happened to you was the exact thing you needed so that you can start. Um, it's that tough love that you needed to start or to excel your growing,
Mhm.
strengthen you and your desires to grow and become a better person. Um, because yeah, when we see someone who has a bad habit and we just allow them to do it, we're not doing them any good.
Mhm.
When someone tries to walk all over us all the time and we just say, it's okay that you did that. It's okay that you did that to me all the time. At a certain point, it's not gonna like they have no reason to feel bad. And they're just gonna continue that habit because you've allowed that to happen, you know? But then if finally they say, no, I've had enough of that, and I'm gonna punish you, right? All of a sudden it stops you in your tracks and you're like, okay, I can't do that anymore. you know? Um, whatever that thing was. So that's one thing I want to say. Um, and we've talked about that before on other streams. You've probably been there for that. But the other thing I wanted to say was, how do you eat a chocolate bunny when it looks cute? It's a good question. Um, I think you said every time you look at its face, it makes you feel sad. Well, if you got rid of its face, you wouldn't have to see it, and then it
Mhm.
wouldn't make you feel sad because you couldn't look at it. It would be in your
Right.
stomach, and it would just feel good.
Yeah.
Also, think about it this way: that cuteness, it wants to be inside of you. That's why it tastes so good when you eat it. It's just like,
Mm.
"Eat me. Eat me up. I am so cute, just eat me up." And, I'm here to make I'm here to make your brain feel sensations from your tongue unit that you couldn't experience with your eye units,
Mhm.
and that's how cute I am.
Yes.
And then sunglasses drop on its face, and it says, "Deal with it."
I've never seen that before. That
Oh,
last bit.
oh, well, maybe that doesn't happen with the chocolate bunnies,
Not on a chocolate bunny.
particularly.
Yeah. But I agree with Ryan. Start with the head. If
Mhm,
if the head is the cute part,
mhm.
as quickly as possible, just bang.
Yeah. I hope
And
that helps you,
enjoy
Cherry.
every time you chew. Just
Mm,
mm,
mm, mm.
mm. Love that bunny face.
Bunny face.
Tastes just as cute as it looked. Actually tastes cuter, like Ryan said.
Yeah, tastes even. The sensation on your
Yes.
tongue unit is way better than it is on your eye unit. You can try to rub chocolate in your eye. Not good.
No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work as good.
No, it doesn't work as good. Doesn't feel as good. Doesn't give you that emotion that you were looking for. It's not good. Rub it on your tongue, not on your eye.
And I would imagine you have a smart device with a camera on it. You could take a picture.
Hey.
And then eat it. And then look at a picture.
Yeah. Nice.
And then so you can kind of eat the bunny and have it too.
Nice.
With taking a picture. So that's a thought.
Yeah.
But
nice.
Cherry, thank you so much. I'll set it as my phone's wallpaper. Perfect. But then you're gonna be craving chocolate.
Oh, that's true. That might
every time you look at your phone.
Yeah. Interesting.
But anyway, Cherry, thank you so much. Hopefully that was a bit helpful for you. I really appreciate you sharing. And yeah, and it's always painful when relationships go haywire like that, and you don't always necessarily know what to do. But it sounds to me like you're already on the right track.
Yeah.
And some of this will be a bit of patience, and maybe build some of the anticipation of like, what's going to come out of this? Because something good is on its way to you, Cherry. Whether it's this individual person or another person or just a different situation in general, something good is coming. And so be ready.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, and thank you, Cherry.
Yes. Oh, how do you change your name on BSS.studio? That's a good question, Jesse.
Jesse will type it out for you, probably, maybe.
Yes.
Probably, maybe. It depends on Jesse.
It does. It depends a bit on Jesse. Hey, Snowlock.
Hey.
Welcome. And it's nice to see you again, Amazing 52.
Okay. You think you found it? Cool. Yeah. Hey, 52. How's it going? Welcome.
Yeah, so who's next?
That's my question.
That's your question? Oh, sorry. Ask your question.
That was my question. Who's next?
Okay. Yes, I'm Joe. Let's see. Who's next? Raise your hands. We got Akil, we got Amira, Deku, Aaron.
Oh.
Nathan, Amira, Bakugo.
Bakugo. Okay. Baku, right? Say Baku, then say go. Just say
go.
But now, yeah, and when you say oh, say go.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can say oh, right?
Baku.
So Bakugo.
Bakugo.
No, not Bakugo. Bakugo.
Bakugo.
Bakugo lover.
Bakugo
lover. Bakugo lover. Because Bakugo is Japanese, so the L would have to be pronounced as an R.
Oh.
Bakugo lover.
So it's an R pronounced like.
Why am I here?
Here.
Okay, so that was what's a rubber?
Rubber.
Rubber. Actually, they usually say rub. I rub you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Anyway, so we've got and we also have Bree. Bree, are you still here?
Bree?
Or did you leave? Bree, are you here?
Bree.
And Sun Ryosuke.
Yeah, I haven't seen Sun yet.
Have not heard a response. Okay. Well, Akil, I know you're here and I know you're listening to stuff, but
We're gonna do yours.
you're it, dude.
You're it.
I just got to go back and find it.
Are we doing Whisper? Or are we doing?
Yeah, it's the only one left of Akil's that's on here.
Wow. It says long.
Akil, you only have one on here.
Oh yeah, this is a really long one.
Perfect.
Nice.
From March 29th.
Yeah, it's a long while ago.
Oh, Princess. Princess posted the link.
Thanks, Princess. You're awesome.
Princess rocks.
Is Cody still here? Jesse?
Cody, I think Cody's still here. All right, let's see here. Here we go. Okay. Oops. Wrong. Sorry, Jesse. I'll get it now. I'll get it now for you. I'll get it right. Bang, bang, boom, bang. All right. So Princess posted a link. You guys can feel free to read along. Akil, thank you again for posting.
Yeah.
And so, yes. So this is from Akil. It's called Whisper. And it goes like this. It says edited. It was edited.
Ah, that's fine.
So, all right. So here we go. We were always blinded. The light shines ever so bright for the truths we seek. The truths are often hard to look at, but still kept trying to open our eyes. Everyone seeks it, yet not everyone can reach it. What will happen if we decided to fully open our eyes? What will we see as the source of light? This is a matter of perspective, as everyone saw different things in it. However, forcing yourself to stare at it might actually take your sight. You might lose the reason of you are seeking the truths with no satisfaction you could see. All in your sight would be darkness, seeping into your mind as a storm cloud looms over your thoughts. I have yet to admit to know a truth, as my journey is just beginning. However, my comrades alongside myself have been noticing that people have been using faiths as undisputed truths in order to further their own interests. This fallacy, or simply straight up lie, is what has been a bane of the community we are desperately trying to keep the harmony of. Terrorism are nowadays done in the name of faiths and justice. Ideas came as whispers in our minds, interpretation of the truths, materials to build our lives that came from our very own thoughts. The world's opinion of my fellow believers of a certain faith weighs heavily on a very undesirable side for us, the rest of the believers. If you believed that the violence would be a truth or the words of my God, then we simply needed to use the counterpart figure. Yes, the devil. We'll play the devil's advocate to give the different perspective on that matter. So forgive us for not enforcing our faith aggressively. Sorry to disappoint your decapitation fantasy. You may not believe us, as our words are suspiciously as sweet as the devil's whispers. But we like to believe we carry a truth. What will you see in us when you open your eyes, I wonder? Did Akil just tell us to wait?
He did. How did you even catch that while reading? Joe,
I'm just that good.
are you? Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's incredible.
My.
How do you have that talent? Okay, sorry. When did the turn get when we started reading this?
Yeah.
You're the only person here that has a post. So
Yep. Yep. No one else is here right now, so you're it, man. All right. So here we are. Okay. My, how pretentious I could be. Me, religious? Unthinkable. Well, allow me to confuse you even further then, my dear readers, with the story of the Ace of Diamonds. Spades, me, met him around the first year of secondary school at 13. He came from the primary school, which was a child's school of the secondary school. Yeah, he was one of the king's boys. I've known him over our encounters after school hours and learned about his multiple talents as expected of his educational background. We grew closer over 2 years, managing to stay relevant to each other even with my compatibility with hearts and his familiarity with clubs. Clubs moved out when we were 16, partly due to bullying, and he grew even closer to hearts and myself, spades, partly to it. Clubs was one of the king's boys, so he was close to him. Diamonds wasn't going to school much due to his health conditions, so his grades aren't going good. Seeing the rivalry between me and Hearts, whom at the time wasn't close to him yet, due to him being an exchange student from the second year, leaves me as the only viable option to tutor him. So after Diamonds recovered from his conditions, Spades did help him with his studies as he started to attend school. The three remaining aces, alongside Joker and the Kings, became a close circle of friends and spent the last 2 years of secondary school together, facing joys and despairs of their youth. You know what happened? Hearts almost took his own life. Joker started to think he was limited in school. Clubs had to start in a new school all alone. All of the Kings kind of have disputes against each other, and Spades facing falling grades on the last two and most important years of secondary school. We all pulled through, but nothing was ever the same as we went on our own ways after graduating. Everyone went on their own paths. Hearts went overseas and studied on the east half of the country. The Kings went south to study on their fields after managing their choices for half a year. Spades, myself, went a bit south on the mainland side of the island state, but he remained. Diamond did not pursue higher education. He was alone in our hometown, only occasionally meeting Joker when he returns from studying in Central. That is where Spades makes his return. After half a year studying on the coast side, instead of joining the most of them in hometown managing their options in matriculation. So I returned as everyone else started leaving and bumped into him. It was a celebration of the day of victory, and there's some extra meat to be distributed to people. He called me to share some mutton from the slaughter, and that basically started our outings to explore the hometown, revisiting memories that we had. A half Yemeni and half Indian on the streets, walking and tasting food from the variety the North had to offer. It was a blast to have someone familiar returning to my hometown. Alas, as you know, it won't last like all the good things. Managed to get him to consider further his studies, but his family business has been tying himself with the whole family issues over in India. It was also a legal issue and something I was familiar with. So naturally, I gave him some advice on the matter on how to handle the greed in the family. That was some time ago, and he is now going with the lawyer again to nail the final agreement on that issue. I wasn't there to send him off, though, and it's been twice already. He was contacting me asking if I could return to hometown anytime soon, but I can't return home yet. I've only known about this second flight to India from Joker. Last trip, he had proved to be hostile, even life-threatening, with his distant family members got defensive over an agreement they manipulated over the years. I missed the shot, the chance to tell him that he doesn't always need to listen to me as much as I know he looked up to me. I should have told him that he could back out. Things might get hairy, and I shouldn't have suggested he went that aggressive over the legal issue. I'm afraid of more blood on my hands. Already lost a lot of cards from the deck over the years. I can't lose him too. I feel so helpless that all I could do is pray for his safe return. My suggestion, my devil's advocate, is putting him in danger again. I don't want to lose the friend that made my hometown as my hometown. I want to be made at home instead of feeling like a nomad. because home is where my heart should be. Why am I being dependent on people, though? I should have been able to make my home a place, right? What can I do if I lose him too? I can't just get them arrested without evidence. Crap, he's an important informant too. I can't just have people take over for him. These whispers started to flood my mind, along with others that echoed in my head. The multiples are going out of control again. The whispers are turning into full voices. My lack of sleep might be catching up to me, as I've also been seeing images on the corners of my eyes, yet never a full image of something I can only consider sinister. I'm not getting good night's sleep in a while, though. 1. How can we be sure that we are helping? I've been responsible playing devil's advocate, and it's surprisingly working for my friend. I wanted to give him choices, but now I feel like I'm ironically limiting him, somewhat steering in my own direction. Lord knows how many times I screwed up. I am far from perfect for him to believe me that much. Now he is at risk, and I can't do anything but wait for news helplessly. It reminded me of my late fiancée. I've gotten news that she was trying to tell me about ending our relationship when she crashed, only to hear it from her man himself. She was such a good lady. I should have been paying attention. I should have asked if she had feelings for anyone. I was just living my life with barely any worry, even gave her a green light if she ever met anyone for her. Playing devil's advocate is very risky, and it saddens me that it wasn't me that had to bear the effects. The man himself passed away this year. I hope he was at peace then. I hope they are happy right now, being finally together. 2. How do we stay relevant as a side that's trying to deliver a truth? How can we be sure of our own truth when everyone else is calling it a lie? I'm not really religious, but believing in a certain truth has certainly helped with my life. Faith is what kept me going, so I'm a bit defensive when my truth is affected. I know I should be more open on this, but I am currently choosing to be strict over my beliefs. And that is from Akil. Wow, Akil, that is quite the story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so there's a whole lot of stuff going on in here. And I missed a whole bunch of the chat.
That's all right. I was caught up in the story.
Yes. Yes, I was caught up in the story too. So, wow. So he's got, all right. So let's see if I can summarize this. One of the big things in here is just the faith aspect of things. Where
Faith.
that always is a great question. You know, how do we know what we believe is actually true and not just something that we've learned, you know, for our whole lives? And sometimes it's good to ask those questions. If I had to defend what I believe, is there truth backing it? You know, so that's something you can ask. And then, yeah, there's a lot of different things as far as friends and people changing and stuff like that. So I have talked for a really long time, mainly because it was a fairly long post. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and hear what he has to say, because it'd be nice to hear somebody else's voice than mine.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I like it. You talk though.
I like when I talk too.
Good, because you do a great job at it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, this is a really good post, and I have to say right now, I'm very much interested in Joe's response here, because I know that he can relate on a couple of different things here, especially when it comes to searching out truth. And knowing whether you're wrong or right about something. How do you get that analytical side to it, and that sort of stuff. And I feel like he can relate to that on a lot of levels. And also, how can you be sure that you're giving people the right advice, or how can you be sure that you're helping people? I'm sure Joe has some things to say about that too, possibly. But you know, I've been there before too. How do you know? Like, for example, you're trying to help somebody and you're giving them things, that they can do, and maybe it helps them out for a way. You're saying you're playing devil's advocate, and you're worried now about it limiting him, steering him in your direction rather than his own. Um, you're not sure that your suggestions to him are what's going to be best for him. You're just trying to help and see where that takes you, or see where it takes them. But it's interesting because I like that you realize that your understanding of the situation, or your way of handling it, or your advice isn't necessarily the end all be all, the best way out there, the ultimate truth or answer to their situation. I think that's really important to remember. And there are times when I worry about that too. Am I sometimes, like, you help somebody and you're like, but am I leading the right way? They're following me. They're listening to what I'm saying, but I don't want that to be on my hands, because what if it turns the wrong way? Then it's like my fault, and that's awful. um, Joe has a story about this, where where someone attempted to help him uh, with some things in life, with his finances, and um, at the end, uh, it didn't turn out so well. But one thing that was really important, and Joe can talk about this a little bit more from his perspective, but one thing that was important was, and I believe it was something to do with kind of like getting a new job, moving from one place to another, and pulling things together and that sort of thing, in his finances. What ended up happening was not so great, but um, Joe's heart was in the right place. Um, he understood that the other person was making suggestions because they wanted to help. And he understood and didn't force that blame on the other person. I think Joe was quick to say, well, I was following what he was saying, and that's my fault for doing that, not his. He was only trying to help me. I was just following that lead because that was really one of the only things that I had, or I, thought maybe, hey, maybe that might work. But I'm not going to blame him for whatever happens, because I'm the one doing it. I'm the one taking those actions. Um, and so I think that that's the right approach. And I feel like if this person really respects you that much, it's likely that even if it turns out certain bad things happen that aren't good, it's likely that they're going to look at you and say, it's not your fault. I was doing those things because I thought that that was right, but it's still my responsibility to do those things. That's up to me. I can take anybody's suggestion I want, and it's my responsibility if I do them. Someone could tell me to go jump off a cliff. That doesn't mean it's their fault for telling me. I'm the one who jumped off a cliff. That was my bad idea, or my bad response to their comment, right? Um, you know, someone could tell me like, "Hey, try to drive with your eyes closed and your hands behind your back." It's like, why would I do that? Is that a really bad idea? But hey, let's actually try it. That's that's it's their responsibility for trying it. It's a really bad idea. But yeah, um, but here's the thing: like, the difference is with even with that, the difference is your intentions for the other person are good. Uh, and that rings true. And I feel like the other person would be able to easily acknowledge that, be able to easily notice that and say, this person is only trying to help me. I'm not going to be mad at them because it didn't work out to my best interest, you know? Um, he said, my concept of responsibility is jumping into things together. Not being there over something I brought up is not acceptable for me.
Hmm.
Right. Right.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate, and I think that's a good statement, a very important thing, because if you're making suggestions, right, and you're telling someone to go on this intense journey, or do these things that um, are possibly life changing, I think, yeah, it's important to be there with them. I think it's important to follow up just as a friend, to be there through that with them. If they're taking your advice, then you're going to want to be um, constantly there, or not necessarily constantly there, but they're ready to assist, especially if it does go wrong, right? Um, so I agree with that fully, Akil. And I would think that it would be wise for you to try to take that time, make the time in your schedule to make that happen. Um, and it can be as simple as making phone calls to the person, uh, 2 times a week, you know, and just saying, "Hey, how are things going? Tell me what's going on with the current situation. Let's work it out together if we can." And yeah, absolutely. If you can make some phone calls just twice a week at least, I think that would be really awesome. Um, and I don't know the current situation of this individual. You said that they're okay. Um, so hopefully that's possible. If not, then that's kind of unfortunate. You might have to make a trip, you know? Um, but I think showing them that level of commitment um, says a lot and will help them emotionally regardless. Because then they don't feel like they're in it alone. Taking some whim that you said and then going off on this journey alone and being kind of, yeah, I mean, that's emotionally draining, right? Whatever they're going through, that would be tough. Especially with, like, if they're like doing with court cases and things like that. Ugh,
Mm.
yeah, it's good to have it's good to have backup emotional um, uh, people you can lean on. People that can help you through it. Not necessarily have the right words to say or give the right advice, but people who are there showing you they're on your side. That is super important. And I think, yeah, yeah, you should be there for them if you can. I think that's the right thing to do, the right feeling. Um, but how can you be sure that the advice you're giving is correct? That's the thing that you kind of have to come to accept, is that you can never be sure. You can be sure that your intentions are good,
Mhm.
but that's about it. Um, because there are many situations in life, and I've come to accept this and embrace this even. There are many situations in life where I look at a certain scenario and I say, I have no idea what the right thing here is. Not only because there are so many options to take here, but also because the options I believe would be wrong can lead someone to a better place than they would have if they took the options I believed were right. Because there are many times in life where we encounter something that we don't like, but it turns us into a better person. There are many times in life where we're doing wrong things, but good comes out of that when we realize it and we start to change. And then we have a history of that bad thing, and now we're actually a better person for it because we understand the wrong more emotionally. We understand it more logically, why we would do that, and how to help other people out of it. So, in that regard, the only thing you can be sure of are your intentions. But another thing you can be sure of is that there's always a door that leads to something good, no matter how many wrong decisions are made.
Mhm.
And that's kind of why there's some people that said this. And I used to, me and Joe used to be part of a business. Um, and it was a life leadership type business. It was a leadership, um, they held conventions and things like that. It was a life coach, is what they called it. Um, and one of the things that they said is just go out there and mess it up. and mess it up and mess up the business over and over and over, because that's how you succeed.
Hmm.
Um, and that's kind of how you succeed in anything. You can't expect to get everything right every time. You're going to get most things wrong, and that's okay. Um, so I think you have to at some point come to accept the fact, accept the reality that the life that we have, the world we live in, it's not so, it's unfortunately not cut and dry for us as humans. It's not straightforward, as we don't always know what's going to work out the best. We might know wrong from right, but that doesn't always lead us to the best response to certain issues, right? You might be presented with something and you have two choices to make or 15 choices to make. Um, you might you might be looking at your life and say, "Oh, I want to go down this road and explore these type of activities for a while and see where that leads me." Or you might say, "Nope, I'm going to stick to what I'm doing." And you have that option. And you know what? Either one of them can lead to great good. Um, so it's important to remember all things can be made good.
Hmm.
And if we keep that understanding open, then we have no reason to lose hope. And I think that's super important. Um, and then um, the other thing that you asked here is, how do you know what's truth? Truth usually stands the test of time. Um, Lies and deceit, they get found out. Um, but there are certain things that are lies that have been around for hundreds of years. And there are certain things that are true that have been disclosed or hidden away for hundreds of years or thousands of years or whatever, right? So that's not necessarily a tall tale, or tell sign, tell. It's not exactly true that all things get revealed in time, um, exactly. But a lot of things do. A lot of lies come out with time. Um, but that's not something you can necessarily rely on. Um, but that's one thing you can look out for. Um, what's one thing you can have at least some faith in is, when you see uh, lies being spread, you can know that at some point in time, those lies are going to be shared, or those lies are going to be um, put out into the open. But the interesting thing is, people have a choice whether they want to decide that's a lie or that's a truth. Even though you can put out something in front of somebody and say, look, logic clearly lines up that this was a lie. People might say, I disagree. I believe that that is actually a truth. It's not a lie. And they do it because their identity, a lot of times, is caught up in that belief. People often associate themselves, and I like that you say that you're being strict over your beliefs, because there's a lot of times where people wrap their identities up into their beliefs, and that's okay. That's a good thing, but it also makes them puts them in a certain situation where when someone questions their beliefs, it questions their identity, and then it makes them feel like they're attacked. So they shut down, they close off all ability to be influenced. And their only desire is to prove you wrong so that they can prove their own identity
Hmm.
correct. The thing we have to remember is that our beliefs are not our identity.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that in those situations, when you're dealing with somebody that is closing themselves off, when you start to notice them shutting themselves down, you have to remind them of that. You say, "Hey, this is not against you. This is just, because our beliefs don't reflect our identity. Our identity is human being, um, and we can believe all sorts of different things.
Hmm.
I could believe that strawberries are better than blueberries,
And
right?
you would be right.
No, that's wrong. Blueberries are healthier for you. And
Strawberries
strawberries
taste better.
don't taste as good.
Yeah.
This is just an opinion thing, right? But I firmly believe that one is better than the other, and that's silly, right? They both have their advantages. Excuse me, bananas are the best berries. I agree, dude. I love bananas. Bananas are one of my favorites. But I also really like blueberries and many other fruits. But yeah, 100% strawberry. How about 100%
Yeah.
orange? No. So anyhow, I mean, I could believe anything. I could believe certain facts about physics that are just clearly out of place. Like, I don't know. Um, I can't think of anything. Um, the speed in which items fall is constant, and it's always at the speed of 2 inches per second. That's how gravity works. Now, clearly, that's not how it works. But if I believed that, and I said that's part of my identity, that's silly, right? So it is important to be strict over your beliefs. It is important to search the truth. But the question is, how do you know truth when you find it? I think a lot of times the way I identify truth is if it comes full circle. Now, you hear a lot of when I speak about issues, I always try to start somewhere, do a full circle, explain the logic behind it, and end up where I started. That's why I repeat things a lot because I'm trying to create circles or spirals, even that lead to greater and greater truth, that pull out more and more of the reality by doing a circle of logic or a spiral of logic. And I think a lot of times you can find truth when you see not just the dots connect, but a lot of dots connect. The problem we fall into is that there is a lot of times where there are things thrown into the truth that shouldn't belong. There are many times when we get led on a train of thought that's correct, but there's a few odd pieces of information that are thrown in and they don't belong there, but we just take them because the rest of it made sense.
Mm,
That happens a lot.
mhm,
I hear speakers. I've heard many speakers talk about a specific issue, and they point out all of the truths. And it's like, yeah, that went full circle. That made sense. That sounded true to me. But along the way, they kept on throwing in bits and pieces of information, expecting you to just say, yeah, okay, because everything else they said was true. And so
mhm.
you take that information that they threw in as true too.
Right.
But you have to take each information, each piece of information that's being thrown into the conversation or into the speech as its own part and go, wait a minute, let's explore that exact thing. Does that line up and have its, does that make a full circle or does that really fit in? Should we be adding that piece of information into this or does that have nothing to do with this and it just sounds true because you're putting it with other things that are true?
Mm,
Um, and so, yeah, it's something you have to really look into. And I think one of the last things, and maybe Joe will talk about this a little bit, is how does it line up with um, the reality of the physical world that we exist in
mhm.
and the history of that physical world exist in? How does it line up? Where did it all begin? Where did this truth start? Who found this truth? Why do we trust them? Asking questions like that can really take us on a journey and teach us a lot. And sometimes there's more information out there that we didn't know about that opens our eyes to realize some lies and some new truths that we never thought of before.
Mhm.
Um, there are certain activities. One, for example, is if you look at the history of religion, if you look at the history of the world, not just the history of religion, the history of the world, um, one thing I find extremely interesting that no one really ever brings up is that almost every society spanning the stretch of all continents even though they were not in communication with each other, had something called worship and something called sacrifice. Every single continent had that. Not only just every single continent, almost every single religion in those continents, every single place that spanned the entire world had sacrifice. It's weird because sacrifice is not something we consider now as a normal thing to do,
Hmm.
just out of whim. It wouldn't be the first thing that we would think of is, how would I praise my God? How would I give a gift to my God? We wouldn't necessarily first think of sacrifice. When we think of worship, a lot of times we think of prayer, more often than sacrifice. Our culture is very different than it was in the past, but it's interesting that cultures that had nothing to do with each other had similar practices. And I find that to tell something about the reality behind human history. Because that's something we can see in history and know is true. It's been documented and shown time and time again. But it makes you ask more questions and search for more truth. And I think that's really cool. But anyways, I'm going to let Joe do some wisdom sharing and all of these type of things, because I've talked for like 7 years now. So
7.5, actually.
thank you, Joe. Thank you for knowing the exact amount, because I was wrong. I was lying. So
Yeah.
look better.
Mine was a lie too, because it hasn't even been close to 7.5 years. It's only been like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah. All right. 15 minutes of talking. Dang. Okay. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I'm 27 years old. Time flies by.
Time flies by. Yeah. Time does fly. Akil, first of all, Ryan, thank you for that. And Akil, when you get a chance, go back and listen to what Ryan had to say. There's a lot of stuff in there that can be helpful for what you're going through. I do want to offer a little bit of encouragement to you, Akil, and that is one, I read, after reading through what you posted here and then seeing some of your comments in the chat, you're a leader. I don't know if you think of yourself as one, but you are. You have the heart of a leader. You care about others. You want to understand the truth, and you want other people to be there too. You take responsibility. And when you start something with others, you see it through to the finish, or at least that's your desire. You don't want to just start something and then ditch them, and then leave them alone to handle it themselves. You're there with them. So Akil, you are showing some great leadership ability here, and you're the best kind of leader, the kind that's not a dictator or some kind of person who just bosses people around, but someone who is like, hey, let's work together to find the truth, and let's pursue it together, and I will be here with you, and I will work harder than everybody else, or just as hard. I'm not going to ask somebody else to do any more work than I'm willing to do.
That is true about Akil. Yeah. Over all the posts and things that we've read, that is definitely true.
Mm-hmm. So I gotta hand it to you, Akil. I have a lot of respect for you because of these attributes that you convey in just in your posts and in the chat. As Ryan kind of set me up a little bit here, because he talked about some of my experiences that I've had, and I will say this, yeah, we had some financial issues, and Ryan is way too kind, because I did spend a lot of time blaming others for my situation.
No, you didn't.
When everything fell apart and everything went crazy, he may not have noticed this.
I didn't notice, no.
But in my heart of hearts, I was seeking a way to not have to be responsible for this, because I didn't want to look like an idiot. Because really, what it wasn't necessarily their advice, but it was my failure to implement. It was my failure to do what was necessary. And I got pulled in all kinds of different directions, and I did all kinds of dumb things. And, I didn't do some of the things I was supposed to do, and I went against my better judgment a lot of times based on emotion. I didn't sort things through logically in my head. I made impulsive decisions that were emotional decisions, and it led me to a place where our finances were in shambles. We ended up losing where we lived. There's all kinds of crazy struggles going on. This is all, like 10 years ago that this all was like taking place. Actually, 10 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, wait. Yeah. 10 years ago to the day almost, when I made one of the biggest life-changing decisions that I didn't understand was going to happen, but it totally turned everything upside down. This one little decision to leave a job and move. And
Yeah.
everything just flipped around. Man, it was crazy and nuts. And for a while, we kind of held things together. And then all of a sudden, everything just fell apart all around us. And we snivelled around all over the place for years. And it was, oh my gosh. And it's been a struggle, trying to pull everything out and just crazy. I mean, Ryan's had a front row seat watching all this craziness. But I got to say this isn't just me saying my sob story about, oh, my life is so hard. The point is, when you take responsibility for your decisions and when you take responsibility for your actions, that's when things can start to turn around. As long as I held other people responsible for my results, I was going to stay there because I was powerless to do anything about it. But the very moment that I took responsibility, said, this is 100% my fault, I'm responsible. This is my decision, my poor decision making that led us to this place. My fault. The minute I did that was the minute everything started to turn. Now, it's a process to work ourselves through that. And we're not all the way out of the woods yet by any means. But my whole attitude changed in that moment. And then things could start being more productive. And I could start actually being empowered to do something that was effective. And now the pathway is getting cleared out, and we're gaining some momentum, and things are moving forward, and more ideas seem to come my way. More and more opportunities seem to come my way. And all of these things would never have happened if I hadn't shifted my attitude from blaming other people for my results to taking full responsibility for my results. So I wanted to mention that. I don't know how related it is to everything that's going on in your situation, but it's a great principle to understand in any situation where you can take responsibility. You can then impact the situation. Mm-hmm. As long as you're holding another person responsible, you cannot have an impact. You will be powerless because it's somebody else's problem. It's somebody else's fault, somebody else's issue. It's not my issue. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't have to do anything to fix it. I don't have to do anything to change it. But when you take responsibility, now you have the power to do something about it. It's the craziest thing, and it's awesome. And Akil, you as a person who has these leadership attributes, you make a habit out of taking responsibility for stuff, and you will lead people, and you will lead people to some great places. Yes, I did this. I can fix this model. Yeah, that's a great motto. Mm-hmm. And there's one other thing I wanted to address real quick, and that is the whole search for truth. One question that we should all be willing to ask ourselves is this: could I be wrong? That question, So many of us, we get caught up into our faith, we get caught up into our belief system, and we get caught up into things. And it's like, a lot of times we just get there and we never ask ourselves, could I be wrong? It's a dangerous question, though. You start asking yourself that question. I started asking myself that question a few years ago. It's like, could I be wrong? Could I be wrong? And this isn't a religious conversation necessarily, but part of this is religious in nature. I started asking myself, could I be wrong? Whoa, could something that I've believed for years and years and years of my life, could I be wrong about that? And I started asking myself that question intensely. And then I started seeking out evidence and looking for actual truth and facts to back the truth, rather than just being held by a belief system that I always believed forever of my life. I started to actually look up and study and seek after, real truth and consistent truth. It had to be consistent. It had to be consistent with the natural world. It had to be consistent with belief system. It had to be consistent. And I tell you what, the end of that road was Roman Catholicism. Now, probably a bunch of people just clicked off the stream. I'm done.
I wasn't these losers anymore.
Yep. Nope. I'm out of here. So, but I'll tell you what, the 0 views.
I love it.
Yeah. When I started down that path of asking myself, could I be wrong? I found out I was wrong on a lot of stuff. And I had held a lot of wrong stuff. And the very last place I ever wanted to be was in the Roman Catholic Church. Ever. I never, ever. But the more I sought truth, the more I sought facts and consistency with everything. And I was like, oh my gosh. Eventually I came to the point where I have nowhere else to go. That's food for thought. But that's what that's where that led me. When I started to ask myself, could I be wrong? And when I found out I was wrong, and I was like, okay, where do these answers go? And everything started to fall apart. My whole world, all my belief systems started to fall apart right in front of my eyes. And I was like, oh my gosh, this fell apart, that eventually I was left with nothing. And that's where I ended up. So that's my story. I'm not going to go into it any further. If anybody wants to know more of it, you can direct message me or something, and we talk about it. But at any rate, don't be afraid to ask, could I be wrong? And not just about religion, but in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll find when you're wrong, if you will not ask that question, I guarantee you it's pride talking in your head and in your heart. It's just because you don't want to be wrong. And the only reason you don't want to be wrong is because, there's pride there, and it blocks every single one of us. We all experience this. This is not, nothing to feel bad about, because we all struggle here. But when you are able to ask yourself if you could be wrong, you are free. You have the freedom to be wrong and to know that it's okay. And then when you can be wrong, now you can let go of ideas that don't serve you well, and you can find new ones that do. And you're free to pursue a better life when you're able to let go, just by asking that simple question, could I be wrong?
That's true, Akil.
Yeah. Akil, I love you so much.
Yeah. It's freeing, though, like you said. When you realize you're wrong about something, it's not like you're mad or upset. It's more like, now I can search the truth from scratch. This is good. Now I'm no longer having to do these things that I thought were right but were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can actually, it's it's freeing type of deal.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. And then you can look up all kinds of crazy stuff. You can look up how, it appears scientific data may be telling us we've been wrong about the relationship we have with fat
And sugar.
and sugar, and how wrong we may have been for decades on dietary principles. And it's like, whoa, but so many things are in place now, and they don't want, nobody wants to admit they're wrong. Nobody wants to admit they were wrong or this has been wrong, because we have these belief systems that are so strong.
Everyone still wants to sell fat-free yogurt. It's like, dude, that's not any healthier. It's actually less healthy for you. Also, the fatted yogurt, the non-fat free, tastes better. So like,
it does totally.
Why not have something that tastes better and is better for you?
Science rocks. Surprise, surprise. Their opinions and facts change every 2 years. One thing you always gotta be watching out for is who's the source of the information. Where is the source of the information? Remember, and I have nothing against vegans or vegetarians or anything like that, but it was hilarious because I was reading this article that was like going against everything that I was learning about the new science of meats and fats and all this kind of stuff, and they're like, no, that's wrong, and this and that, and da 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 da, and blah 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 blah. And I was like checking the source, and they're a vegan. I was like, well, duh, of course you're going to be against meats and fats because you're all about vegetables. So it's like, so you got to be like careful. What's the source of your information? And don't be afraid to compare sources. It's the information age. We've got sources of information all around us. It's crazy. But Akil, we have gone far afield from your topic. I do want to say this. Continue to pursue truth. Continue to ask. Continue to seek. And above all, continue to care about the people around you. And you're going to be the best kind of leader in the world. And I'm excited that you're here with us, and I hope you stick around with us because I can't wait to watch your story unfold as you continue on your journey. So I'm going to turn it back to Ryan. Ryan, do you have anything else on this one?
No, I don't have anything else more to say. Thank you very much for that, Joe. I do want to say happy birthday, Eliana. I hope I pronounced that right.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. Don't feel lonely. We're here. Yeah, you can join the Discord server and meet some friends. Cause why not? Yay, more family, as Bree says. Yeah, Bree's there too. Awesome. But yeah, happy birthday.
Yes, good to have a birthday once in a while. We get one about every year.
Just about.
Oh, it's kind of right. I remember this song. It's time to celebrate your birthday. It happens every year. You eat a lot of broccoli and drink a lot of beer.
Do you though? That's not how my birthdays go. Weird. 1.5 birthdays a year.
No beer. Yes, beer is not necessarily good for you.
Yeah, I don't quite care for it. But...
Yes.
Hey, Angel. Hello.
Yes, you guys are awesome. Welcome, everybody. Wow. So we should move on. First of all, thank you, Akil, for the post, and thanks for being awesome.
Is this Angel the angel of the past, or is this a new angel?
I think if this is the same angel that was Angel XD.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Angel XD. Yeah.
Yep. That had a question
about addiction, and it was like forever ago. I doubt.
Known as Vandium on BSS. Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
So,
all right. So I think next in line is going to be Bree.
Okay.
because I think of all the people that are here that I've seen so far. Oh, we've got one from Science. Science rocks. But I know Bree is here.
Science did post not too long ago, but
yeah. So let's see. All right. Did you miss the whole session? No, you didn't miss the whole session, Magician. We are about to handle another topic.
welcome.
So yes, and we're just trying to figure out. Okay, we got Angel XD, Dead, Nox, Amira, Deku, Aaron, Nathan, Amira, Bakugo.
Yes, you did it.
I said it right, man. Yes. Cherry, Sunryusuke. And Science Rock says if someone else is here, they can go first.
Okay.
Then I guess we'll go with Breeze.
Okay. Bree, you say yours is a little long. But
we have a new perspective on long, actually.
Yeah, we actually did a long one today, so yours is short. Don't worry about it.
Yep. Did Princess just beat me to the punch already? Man, Princess, you're so fast.
We had them both like copied into our clipboard at the same time somehow. And
Princess, I'm so impressed with you.
Yeah.
I can't control C and control V all that quickly. Akil says, sorry about the long one. Hey, no worries, Akil. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So, all right. So now we will move to Breeze. And this is called I'm Sorry. And it goes like this. It says, I'm paralyzed. My legs are broken and chained. I can feel the weight of my depression, anxiety, exhaustion, self-loathing. It's all too much. The pain is too much. I can feel the black hole in my chest. It's slowly breaking my ribs and consuming my heart. My heart's breaking and decaying. The once strong and amazing thing is the one thing that's in the most pain. That's in the most pain. It's black and rotten. It's making a river of acid that's slowly poisoning me. It's spreading to my brain. It's corrupting me, and yet I don't want to stop it. I deserve it because I hate myself. I hate myself more than anything. I'm gross, disgusting, annoying. I'm the opposite of what I want to be. I'm not who they want me to be. I try to stand, but it's hard. It's so hard when you know you'll fail. It's hard when you know you'll never be good enough. It's hard when you know that deep down you're nothing but a mistake. I wasted life that just burdens everyone. The burden that drags everyone down. And you know what? I'm sinking too. These chains, they weigh me down. They're heavier than ever. I'm drowning in depression. It's dark and cold, but I can't escape. I'm watching everyone above the surface, walking without this guilt, walking without this pain. I'm frozen in fear, but also calm. I can't help but welcome this feeling. I can't help but crave the sweet embrace of death, because even though it might hurt others, it'll end this pain that I feel. To finally take my last pain-filled breath would be the best thing for everyone. If you have any input, then please go right ahead. I can't stop this, but an encouragement might settle the chaos for now. And that is from Bree. And Bree, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan to talk, but I do want to tell you, first of all, thank you for posting. And second of all, I love you. And I hope that you understand that. Now, I know it's not always easy, and it can be really, really hard to figure out, especially when things are really, really tough like this and painful. But know that wherever you are, my love is with you. And I'm sure Ryan's is too. So with that, Ryan, I'm going to let you start.
Yeah. Bree, thanks again. Yeah, just like Joe said, I love you. Don't worry about it. I'll always love you. I will always love you. Okay, sorry. Not really how that song goes.
It's
Um,
not, but it was a nice try.
yeah, I don't know how to sing. Um, so one thing that you said in here in this, if I'm allowed to jump into it, is uh, you mentioned that self-loathing, um, and you said I watch everyone above the surface walking without this guilt, walking without this pain. And so it kind of alludes to kind of like what's going on in your mind, I think, a lot here. Um, and again, as always, the way you write is really poetic and it's
Mm,
very emotional and very deep. And it's one of those things that makes you feel what the other person's feeling without having to experience it exactly. Um, and yeah, the way that you write things is both like vividly imaged and also emotionally reciprocated. It's very well written as always. But anyways, the I'll tell you, a lot of times when you see other people, you're going to think that everything for them is fine. Maybe not 100% fine. You know they've got problems, but everyone deals with guilt. Guilt is one of the hardest and most terrible, ridiculous things we deal with as humans.
mhm,
Guilt is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Um, Guilt is a good thing because it reminds us of who we want to be, who we should be, and what we should be doing. And there are a lot of times when we know what we should be doing and we don't do it,
mm,
or we know we shouldn't do something and we do it. It happens both ways.
mhm,
Um, and that's guilt reminds us that we could be better. We have to take in guilt in a hopeful way. And we have to take in guilt as something that will lead us to something better, something positive, something, uh, you know, that increases our growth, increases our strengths. But too often, all of us feel this guilt and it weighs on us. And it doesn't just destroy us inside, it uh, incapacitates us, if that's the right word. It paralyzes us. It forces us into experiencing pain and heartbreak and just sitting in it and welling in it and being mad at ourselves and saying, I don't deserve better. I could be better, but I don't even deserve that because of how terrible I've been. And we hate ourselves because we're the ones that did it. We call ourselves gross and disgusting and annoying because it doesn't sit right with us what we did or what we didn't do. Um, and just like you said, you become the opposite of what you want to be. You know exactly what you want to be, whatever this isn't. you know, it's like the only thing I want to do is overcome this one issue in my life. Everything would be so awesome. I would be proud of myself and I would not have to feel this guilt anymore and everything would be perfect. But instead, I'm falling for it. I'm doing this thing or whatever it is. Or I'm not doing this thing I should be doing, whatever it is. We feel that guilt. And that guilt petrifies us. It stops us and it sits there in us. Um, so the point of me saying all of that is to encourage you because we all feel that. You can look at everybody, like you said, I watch everyone above the surface walking without this guilt. And I want to let you know that um, that's most people that you look at are dealing with some kind of guilt. And some of us are dealing with guilt more than others. And that's true. Um, but it's up to you what you decide to do with that guilt. And so I want to encourage you to take that guilt, take that pain, and see if you can make something out of it. You're going, whatever it is that you did or didn't do, whatever it is that you do, maybe on a constant basis or every once in a while, or maybe once a month or once every year, whatever it is, um, I want to let you know that you're probably going to fail again. Don't let that beat you. Because here's the thing. If you there's there are people in the world that experience this guilt and they don't know what to do with themselves. And at some point, they change what their truth is so that they're allowed to do what they're doing without feeling guilty. They start to create new versions of morals and religions and things like this so that they don't have to feel bad about doing what they did or don't have to feel bad about not doing what they were supposed to do, whatever it is, right? There are people who, because human nature, you don't sit well with yourself when you know that you're not correct, when you're not right, when you didn't do the right things, when you don't agree with yourself, when you don't agree with the things that you did. That's very normal, right? Um, but oh, okay, the stream is lagging. I'm sorry. That's unfortunate. Um, hopefully, hopefully that'll clear up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, anyhow, you don't want to go down that road where you start to change what you believe is true so that you don't feel guilt. But you also don't want to go down the road where you feel guilt and let it stop you from doing anything. Where you feel guilt and you say, I'm not worthy of anything better than this. I should be suffering. You don't want to walk down that road either. It's very important to take guilt and say, I am experiencing this pain because it doesn't sit right with me. So I need to grow in this area. Guilt is like pain when you touch a stove. If the stove is hot, you realize, ow, that hurts. Don't do that. If the stove is cold, you realize, oh, it's okay for me to touch the stove right now. And guilt is that way. Some actions give you guilt and some don't. Those actions that give you guilt are a conscience check, and they can help you do the right thing. But don't let it ever cripple you. If you touch the stove and say, I'm never, ever, ever going near a stove again, well, then you'll never learn how to cook on a stove. And don't let guilt stop you from cooking, right? Don't let pain stop you from achieving more. Let pain teach you how to achieve more, how to achieve something better. Um, teach you about the world we live in. This is this is super important because guilt is something we all deal with, but we all deal with it in different ways. And I hope that you can take this guilt, whatever it is, and recognize that it's just there to help you. Don't let it cripple you. Instead, let it help you. And you know what? Like I said before, you're going to mess things up again. And you're going to mess them up again and again and again and again. But it's a lot easier to change what you're messing up when you have a hopeful attitude. If the guilt brings you to despair, you'll never fix that issue that's bringing you guilt. But if the guilt can bring you hope, then, or if you can hope through the guilt, then you can work on and change the things slowly that gave you the guilt. So, Bree, you can do that. You can totally do that. You are an impressive individual that has overcome plenty of obstacles in life. And it's good that you experience guilt because it shows that you still recognize what's right and wrong and you still want to do the right thing. You still want to become someone that you're proud of. And that's wonderful. And you can do that. You have to be strict on yourself. It can be hard. It sometimes you'll give in, and that can be really hard. Sometimes you won't give in. Celebrate that day. Celebrate the times where you don't give in to whatever the guilt is. Whatever this, whatever the issue is. Where you don't give in and you just say, I conquered at that time. Oh my gosh, yes. And celebrate it within yourself. Because that's not only just going to make you feel awesome, because, but it'll also train your brain to want to do what's right even more. But Bree, you're, like I said before, you're an incredible person. You have such a big heart and you're a loving person. Love to see you here when you come. And so thank you. Thank you for coming here. Even when you're carrying so much burden, when you're carrying so much weight, when you're carrying the weight of the world and all of the struggles and pains that you have to deal with, you still come here and share your love with us. And we are proud of you for doing that. And we appreciate that so much. And you mean a lot to us for doing that. So thank you. And whatever it is you're dealing with, it's okay. It's okay. You'll get over it. You'll get there in time. Don't be drowned by it. Don't let it drown you. You can beat it. Whatever it is, you have beaten so much already. And maybe it's something you've dealt with for years and years and years and you feel like giving up. But let me tell you something. There are things in my life that have been like that. And eventually I got over them. I fixed those things. And that's pretty much true for everybody. And you are a very strong person. And so it's okay. It's okay that you mess up sometimes. It's okay. Don't give it the credit it wants. Because if you give it the credit it wants, it's going to cripple you. Instead, just say, you know what? Oh, well. Yeah, I can feel that pain. But you know what? Oh, well. Tomorrow's another day. I'll do it tomorrow. Don't let myself shut myself down. Because you know what? I've got to overcome this somehow. And the only way is to remain hopeful. So you can do it. I know you can. I really know you can. And if you want to talk about it to me in a private chat, I would love to. We can talk about some stuff. So I don't mind. That'd be cool. So anyhow, I'm going to give it over to Joe and see what he's got to say about your post. Because I only touched on one thing, but yeah.
Well, I love what you talked about, even if you did only touch on one thing, Ryan. I felt encouraged through just hearing what you had to say. Bree, I have to say, as I was reading through your post, I could feel my heart start to like jump up into my throat, because I'm like, there have been times in my life, almost every point that you put in here, I could say me too at some point in my life. The pain of being heartbroken, just all the pain, feeling rotten, feeling gross and disgusting. I've felt that way, feeling like I know I'll never be good enough. I've felt that way a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Looking forward to death, looking for, feeling like that's the only option for being free from that, that turmoil, that black hole of being in there. I've experienced that as well. And but truly one of the most frustrating things for me was one of the things like you were saying about, is feeling you're just watching everybody else skate through their life and nobody else seems to be dealing with this. And it's like, man, how is it that everybody else's life is so great and mine feels like it's just in the garbage? And I totally could relate to that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like as I'm reading through this, I'm like, I can point to times in my life where I felt that. I can point to a time where I felt that. I can point to a time where I felt that. A lot of them were in the same type of time period too. And some of them were not that long ago. Some of them were fairly recent, where I've been going through phases where, I've felt like that. And even still to this day, I mean, because and maybe it's because I'm weird. Maybe it's because I'm maybe it's because I've looked at death as a way out. But one thing that I look forward to is death, partly because I know what comes afterward, and because I'm excited about that, first of all. But even though, a big part of it is because I feel like I can take a break, because I'm just so stinking busy, and it seems like everything runs one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. I get up really, really early, and I work and work and work and work and work, and I stay up really late, and I work and work and work, and then I finally get to sleep for a few hours, and then I get up again and do it all over again. And I'm like, man, eventually I'm going to get a break. It's probably going to be that day when I meet my creator, like that's going to be it. But even one of the things I've learned though is that even if I look forward to that day, it doesn't serve me or anyone else well to try and be in control of that. I'm not the author of my life. So I don't get to decide, when it starts or finishes. I didn't decide when it started, you know.
That's very true.
And so I don't get to decide when it ends, but what I can do in the meantime is, even when it's hard and painful, I can try. Even when I'm going through something that's absolutely terrible, I can love those around me. And Bree, when you come here and you fill up our screen with hearts, that is so beautiful, and I'm so excited when you're here and you do that, and you lift my spirit. And so you do have a gift to lift others' spirits. And it seems like sometimes the people who can lift people the most and can touch their hearts a certain way are the people that go through the most pain and struggle and torment. And I think that's part of the reason why they can touch hearts in that particular way. It's been said that the way you truly love is by feeling pain with others, because you can experience that pain. You can love at a much, much deeper level. And I know everybody here that's listening has gone through some kind of pain, some kind of wound, some kind of sadness, and that plumbs the depths of our hearts so we can love in a deeper way. And it shows, Bree, that you can love deeply. And like I said, I'm always so excited to see you here. I do want to touch on this one thing, and it's the one line that touched me the most, and that is, it's hard when you know you'll never be good enough. That is hard. And within the past year, I've had this conversation with even within the past 6 months. I've had this conversation with my mother-in-law where I told her, I was like, look, we were talking about something and I said, there are 2 things I know for sure. 2 things that I'm absolutely sure about. And she says, well, what is that? And I said, 1, I'm going to try as hard as I possibly can. And 2, it's never going to be good enough. And I think that caught her off guard a little bit. It's my mother-in-law. but it was like, I remember being there and I remember saying that. And I remember coming to grips with that feeling where it's like, okay, I'm going to try as hard as I can. I know it's never going to be good enough. And I'm like, you know what? But I can try because I choose to. That's a choice that I am in charge of. If there's one thing I'm in charge of, it's that I can choose whether or not I try as hard as I can. You know what? So I just decided to do that. And then I came across some information that was like, you know what? If you're focused on the results that are going on, that is really, really hard. And it's really, really depressing because hardly anything ever, happens the exact way you want it to. But if you can keep your focus on your process and what you're doing and what you're trying to do and what you're striving to do, regardless of the results, don't worry about the results. The results will take care of themselves. And it's good to have a desired outcome, but just don't get too attached to the scheduling of that, the time frame of that, or how it turns out exactly. Don't every single little detail. Have something to shoot for, but then focus on what you're doing in that moment. And when I started to do that, that was kind of when I learned that, I was like, that's kind of what I've been doing when I said, I know it's not going to be good enough, but I'm going to try as hard as I can. I was I was learning to focus on my process. And when I came to grips with I know it's not going to be good enough, that was me letting go of the results. That was me saying, yep, it's not going to be good enough. I don't care. I'm just going to try as hard as I can anyway. And there's a great poem by, I think it was by Mother Teresa, called Anyway. People are whatever. People are heartless and cruel and all that kind of stuff. Love them anyway. If you try real hard, you may fail. Try hard anyway. And that's true. That is so real, and it's so encouraging because then you're free. And you're like, you know what? I was going to be here anyway. I'm going to be here for this time anyway. I might as well try hard. I might as well try to do something productive. I might as well love people around me. I might as well show up in a chat, fill it up with hearts, and make sure these 2 hosts feel loved. And man, Bree, I love it. I see all those multicolored hearts.
Yeah.
And it encourages me a lot. And I'm sure it encourages Ryan, but not as much as it encourages me. It's competition. And so, Bree, I don't have much else to say except for I know the feelings that you're feeling right now. I've experienced those feelings. I haven't necessarily experienced all the things that brought you to those feelings. I don't understand all of the ins and the outs of that, but I remember feeling that way, Bree. And I know how hard that is, and I know how discouraging it is. And I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry that you got to go through that. But I want to encourage you because even in the midst of that, you have a really bright light that you shine. And you shine it for us when you're here. And I love it. And I'm going to stop before I dig myself a big old hole and start blubbering and crying. So Ryan, take it away, please.
Sure. Thanks for that, Joe. And yeah, just we love you, Bree. You're a wonderful person, and we're great to have you. One thing I want to say is is kind of off of the thing Joe was saying about not being good enough. Um, it's interesting how um, how we come to truths about life, and we come to them sometimes in opposite ways or opposite messages, but we enter the same reality. Um, and so, kind of my version of what he was saying is it is pretty much, yeah, you're not good enough, because you see, human beings, we weren't made to be perfect. If you look at the world around you, it is not perfect, and that's okay, because I'm not saying it's okay to do the wrong things, right? But rather, we desire perfection
Mm,
from ourselves, from each other, from the world around us. We want everything to be perfect. We want everything to go our way. We want to be happy. That's good. But it's also not that way by nature. So, what that tells me about the world that we live in, the world we exist in, is that when God created the world, he didn't make it perfect because we're not supposed to be perfect. He made it so that we can aim for perfection. And that's all God wants. Rather, he doesn't care if we make mistakes. He cares that we want to get better. He doesn't care if you're not perfect, if you don't make the shot every time. You're still good enough to him. Because if you weren't good enough to him, none of this would exist. He wouldn't create a world where no one could get into heaven, right? It would be just impossible. Even with Jesus dying, you're just still not good enough, right? I mean, that's from my personal faith perspective. Yeah, you're going to do great things. You're going to do bad things. You're going to try real hard and it's not going to end up perfect.
mhm,
And you're going to make a lot of mistakes and feel terrible. But through it all, you're good enough to him because you're trying. And he can see that. He can
mhm.
see your intentions more than a lot of times you can. And I think he sees your heart. And, you're going to struggle through life, but we're all going to do that.
Mhm.
And hopefully we can do that together. Um, and yeah, so you're good enough. Your results will not be good enough, but you're good enough.
Mhm.
Just keep on moving, keep on grooving, keep
Mhm.
on doing those things that make you beautiful.
That's one of the great things about the community here at BSS and in the chat and everything. I mean, just we've got some tremendous people that surround you with love. And like Ryan was saying, hey, we're gonna try together. We're gonna do all this and we're gonna be together while we do it. And we can lean on each other. We can love each other. We can support each other.
Hmm.
And we're the ones on here on the screen talking, but the real action's happening in the chat.
Yeah, behind the scenes or
Yep.
in yeah.
The real action's happening in the chat and at bss.studio and the various Discord servers that I'm sure people are chatting on. I mean, that's where the action's really happening.
Hmm.
So I would encourage any of you guys who are lurking, get involved. Get to know some of the folks around here. Bree says, sorry, I've been crying. Yeah, hey, Bree, no need to be sorry. It's good to have a good cry sometimes and just get that. That is pain leaving the body from time to
Hmm.
time.
Hmm. Yep.
And Bree, we love you too.
Yeah, I would love you too.
You're an amazing creation.
Hmm.
Yep. Even random lover of physics in the universe gives you a big hug.
Yeah. You must be physics because he does love you enough to give you a big hug. Probably a part of physics somehow, of a physical body. So that seems to check out.
Yes.
And you're part of the universe. So yeah, that checks out totally.
You're here and you're amazing.
Hmm.
And wow. Thank you all so much for being here. We're a little bit over the time, and thanks for hanging with us and being there in the chat. We will be here again. Oh, Random Lover, you just joined and we're just finishing up this episode. But I'll tell you, you can go back and hear some more. I know that there are active servers and everything going on. And go to bss.studio. There's stuff going on over there. You can get involved and chat with some of the folks. And I would encourage every single one of you, ring the notification bell on this channel. And last time I rang a notification bell.
Don't rung. Don't say rung
rung it.
because that's what you do to like a rug.
Last time I rung a bell.
It didn't ring.
It gave me an option. It said, do you always want to receive notifications? Do you sometimes want to receive notifications? Do you almost never want to receive notifications? And it gave me like these options. Hit the always one. Always get notified from the Black Static and Swerve YouTube channel, because that's the only way you're really going to get to see. Someone needs to do an experiment on what time we start and see how often we start at certain times and when we start at other times. That would be a really cool thing, because I know somebody was asking, I think it was Angel was asking, what time do you guys start? And I was like, we're still trying to figure out when we start.
7, sometimes it's more often 7:30. Probably more often, unfortunately, it's 8, and then sometimes 8:30. I think we even started at 9, and all of this is Eastern time.
Yep, it's all Eastern, and I tell you, a lot of it is due to me and my crazy schedule, because I've got stuff going on with my kids. I've got 2 kids in many, many different things. We just started baseball season, so I got both kids are in Taekwondo, and I got one son in baseball and one son in gymnastics, as well as Taekwondo, and it just gets kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're just doing the best we can.
Hey, thanks for showing up, Angel. You're awesome. Thanks for posting in the chat some of the wisdom you have to share and things like that. So yeah.
Yes, thank you. Well, and anybody who's not here for the live stream, you can always watch it later. They're all there on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch them later. And having another son named Akil is a handful. Oh my gosh, yes. Phew.
That boy, let me tell
you. But he's a great writer.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you
That's
what.
true.
So
I expect things from that guy. That little. Not that little.
Yep. So I would treat it as an experiment. Some of you guys, it frustrates you that we don't start at a certain time all the time, and it's not on time every time. And it frustrates me too. So I'm like, you know what? We should just make this fun and have an experiment. Like, then we can put it on a graph and we can be like, hey, we started at this time this day, we started this time another day, and we can analyze it. Be like, whoa. But yes.
Thanks to Jesse. Thanks to Princess for being a hostess. Thanks for Jesse for being a producer for us.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Joe for making the stream good.
Thanks to Ryan for making it awesome and not just good.
Well, good is better than awesome.
And thanks to back there.
Yeah. Who's Waddles?
AKA Waddles.
No. His name is
And thanks to that drum.
He likes it when I pet him down the face. Really
you know what I learned?
I learned. He says when you do that, he says, "More of that, please." So he doesn't say it like I just said it. He says it like an owl would. A stuffed owl that doesn't speak. So,
Right. I learned something in Taekwondo.
oh, what did you learn?
I learned because we're learning how to be instructors. So we're learning different ways to run a class and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And that was an example of improper touch right there.
Petting someone down the face?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
It was hilarious too, because we've been around this school for a long time, so we know the instructors very well and everything, and we're there, and he's like, these are proper touch, and he's like, okay, look, this is how you would maneuver somebody's fist and get it, properly put in the right place. You can tap someone on the shoulder, you can tap someone on the head, you can, give them a high five, you can do stuff like that. But he's like, but this is improper touch. And he went up to my youngest son and he just like wiped his hand down his face. It was hilarious.
I love it. This is an example of improper touch.
Yep.
What did you do to my face?
And he just stood there and gave his look. Yeah, his little frowny face that he makes.
Okay. Appropriate response to that, I guess.
Yes, appropriate.
I would have been like, do that again. That is awesome. Like, to me. I don't mind.
Yep. Oh, yes, and Princess, you're going to be gone. Princess is going to be gone for the next 3 Don't Worry Wednesdays. So that'd be Friday, Wednesday, and Friday, because we do these on Fridays too.
We'll miss you too, Princess. We'll try to figure out how to handle ourselves, and we love you, and we are looking forward to seeing you again.
Yep. But then she's never allowed to leave again after that.
Yeah,
so
never.
Nope, not ever. But all right. Well, thank you guys again for being here, and we love you from the bottom of our hearts. Go to bss.studio, hang out there, and we will see you next time on the stream. And that'll be Friday. So come on back. That'll be good.
Yeah. Peace.
Love you guys.
Bye. Love you.